Why do you look exactly like my dead wife? The old man asked me at the grocery store. He handed me a photo from 1962. I was reaching for pasta sauce when he appeared beside me. 80-something, trembling hands, eyes filled with something between hope and terror. Before I could respond, he pressed a photograph into my palm, black and white. A young woman in a white dress standing in front of a house. My face stared back at me. Not similar, identical, same nose, same cheekbones, same slight asymmetry in my smile. The only difference was her hair styled in a way no one had worn since my grandparents' generation. I'm sorry, I stammered. I don't understand. Eleanor, my Eleanor. She died 62 years ago. You have her face. I wanted to hand the photo back and walk away, dismiss him as confused, but I couldn't stop staring at the woman who looked exactly like me in a photograph taken decades before I was born. What was her name? Her full name. Eleanor May Dawson. She was 23 when she died, April 14, 1962. I took his number, told him I'd look into it, went home and couldn't sleep. The next morning, I called my mother. I need to ask you something about your adoption. Silence. Who told you I was adopted? You never told me you were adopted. More silence. Then crying. I found out when I was 40, after Grandma died. There were papers in her things. I never knew how to tell you. My mother was adopted in 1962, April 1962. She'd never searched for her birth parents. Said she was scared of what she'd find. Scared of rejection. Scared of answers that might hurt more than questions. I wasn't scared. I was obsessed. It took 3 weeks to unseal the records. My mother's birth certificate listed her biological mother as Eleanor May Dawson. Father, Robert James Whitfield. Born, April 14th, 1962. The same day Eleanor died. I called the old man. His name was Robert. He answered on the first ring like he'd been waiting 60 years for this call. We met at a coffee shop. He brought more photos. Eleanor pregnant, glowing, one hand on her belly. Eleanor and Robert on their wedding day. Eleanor in the hospital bed, exhausted but smiling, holding a baby I now knew was my mother. She had complications after the birth, Robert said, his voice breaking, hemorrhaging they couldn't stop. She held our daughter for 2 hours before she passed. Named her Grace. Grace, my mother's birth name before the adoption. What happened to the baby? My mother-in-law took her. Said I was too young, too broken, couldn't raise a child alone. She arranged the adoption without telling me. By the time I found out, the records were sealed. I've been searching ever since. 62 years. He'd been looking for his daughter for 62 years. My mother's name is Grace. She goes by her middle name now, but her birth certificate says Grace Eleanor. Robert started sobbing, quiet, shaking sobs from a man who'd carried grief longer than I'd been alive. I showed him pictures on my phone. My mother at her birthday last year. My mother holding my daughter. My mother who had his nose, Eleanor's smile, and no idea where she came from. Can I meet her? I'll ask. I can't promise anything. I've waited 62 years. I can wait a little longer. My mother said no at first. Too overwhelming. Too late. What was the point after all this time? I showed her the photographs. Showed her Eleanor's face, which was her face, which was my face. 3 generations of the same features passed down like a promise. She changed her mind. They met on a Sunday afternoon at my house. Neutral territory. I stayed in the kitchen pretending to make coffee while my mother sat across from the father she'd never known. I heard her ask why he gave her up. Heard him explain that he didn't. That she was taken from him. That he'd spent his whole life trying to find her. I heard my mother cry in a way I'd never heard before. Grief and relief tangled together. 62 years of questions finally answered. Robert comes to dinner every Sunday now. He tells my mother stories about Eleanor. How they met at a church dance. How she laughed at his terrible jokes. How she sang to the baby when she thought no one was listening. He tells my daughter about the great-grandmother she'll never meet but carries in her face. Sometimes I catch him staring at me with tears in his eyes. He says it's like seeing Eleanor again. Like she came back after all this time just so he wouldn't be alone anymore. I don't believe in reincarnation, but I believe in genetics. I believe faces carry forward through generations like love letters written in bone and skin. Eleanor died at 23. I'm 31 now. I've already lived 8 years longer than she did, but every time I look in the mirror, she's still there. Still young, still beautiful, still waiting to be found. Robert finally found her. 62 years later, in a grocery store, reaching for pasta sauce.